Coders of Reddit, how do you politely refuse your friend's $1 million app idea? I never want to discourage genuine enthusiasm for an idea, so instead of saying, too hard, too expensive, already been done, etc., I treat this as an opportunity to teach my friend, coworker, board member or relative, all true examples, to take a stack of index cards and draw a picture of the app starting with the opening screen. Then use a red pen to draw the UI action that would lead to the next index card where they draw that screen. I tell them to draw as many screens as needed to illustrate how it works. If they can get past this step, they have a much better idea of the flow and complexity of the app from the viewpoint of the user. This process teaches them an enormous amount about software dev. I tell them that they would have to have this card design rock solid before talking to an app dev, and if they did it, and brought it to a developer, the developer would cry at having such an organized client. Wow. Not even snubbing them but actually providing guidance they can reasonably pursue to hook up with a PM, dev, investor. You're a good human. I've actually been trying to organize how I want a game to work, and that's a really good idea, thank you. Not an app but a game I'll be learning some code for, no programmer friends on the line lol. My specialty is on the server side of things. If that doesn't work, I show them my website from the late 90s that hasn't been updated since. They usually take the hint pretty quickly that I don't have a UI bone in my body. And AMP, #X200B, edit. For those still paying attention, it's http://leroybrown.com. Kindly ignore the Mensa crap, I realized it was pretty douche while long ago but haven't gotten around to updating. It looks like I did update very sporadically up until 2004. There are lots of broken links. I'm looking to develop an app based around short GIFs of dancing babies with flashing marquee text. Interested? Lol, same. I do like cloud architecture and big data delivery systems. I pretty much say, well, if you want to run everything through console we might be able to give it a shot. But then they back off when I tell them how much I charge for consulting hours. I ask them to watch How to Build an App, a series by Tom Scott. It starts out with, if you think you want to build an app, you shouldn't. It continues in this vein while showing you exactly how to do it. If they still want to do it, we'll talk. Thanks for the tip, now I can finally start building my banana curvature measuring app. I love Tom Scott, he's brutally honest about what he's talking about and acknowledges his mistakes. I haven't watched that series yet though, I'll check it out. Usually by going to the App Store and finding 10 versions of their app idea that already exist. Right out of college some business guy wanted me and some friends to develop an app for him. It's basically Twitter meets Pokemon Go. You post at physical locations and they stay there for a set period of time. His idea was to have it drop ads or coupons that companies will pay for advertising. Interesting idea. I go onto the App Store and I find the exact same app he is trying to get us to build, that's been dead for over 1 year after it received $1.4 million in funding. So I called him out on it and he's like, yeah, I saw that, but ours is gonna be better. Better than $1.4 million of funding and going nowhere, I fucking doubt it. Knocked out of that one pretty fast. I once had an acquaintance tell me their idea to have an app that lets paramedics see important medical info on the patient's phone even if they're unconscious. It was a little awkward to show them the medical ID button on their lock screen and that most phones already have this built in. I'm not sure if it made it better or worse that no one really uses it. Edit. On iPhone, on your lock screen, then emergency screen, bottom left corner. Edit 2. Android is again, emergency button on lock screen. Edit 3. A few paramedics are replying that they never check people's phones for this info, I'm guessing because nobody ever fills it in and they probably don't want to waste time in an emergency situation. I still think it's worth filling in though, perhaps if everybody with important details did do this, maybe it would be more worthwhile than checking. Edit 4. Had a first responder, dues 110, say they do check. Also they made a great point to put emergency contacts in there too. A list of these on the fridge is also very helpful. Ask for a salary saying that you are not prepared to be their co-CEO, they will back off instantly. This is exactly what I do with strangers, I don't work for glory or for, maybe, future income. I have to try to do the same with friends and family. But we're friends. Once a guy gave me his brilliant idea for boat sharing. Like Zipcar but for boats. All I said was, you know you can already rent a boat right? Anyway, that was back around 2012, and now apparently there are boat sharing apps, so I guess I missed the boat on that opportunity. Being right at the wrong time is the same as being wrong. If you'd tried to build a boat sharing app 8 years ago, people would have laughed you out of their office. You wouldn't have kept the company afloat for 6 years until that idea didn't sound insane. $1 million app ideas generally fall in one of 4 categories. 1. It already exists. 2. It would require insane server power and the money to pay for it. 3. It's illegal. 4. Computers don't work that way. For option 1, I show them the 12 apps that are better than their idea. For point 2 and 4, I get technical and start throwing costs around until they change subject. For option 3, I say, it's illegal. 4. Computers don't work that way. I had someone tell me they wanted to make an app where you could text your friends, but in addition to text, audio, pics and video, you would also be able to send someone a smell. When I told him I couldn't build that, he asked if I knew someone who could. What is the example of computers don't work that way? Dude, that sounds insane. I'm slammed with work right now, but when I get a chance you can show me what you've worked on. Spoilers. They haven't worked on it, you will never be free, and the app will never get made. As a mobile developer, can confirm this is the best strategy. That reminded me about a guy, and countless stories of people with a similar attitude, who wanted to make a game, so he was looking for coders, graphics artists and music composers. Apparently his only contribution would be the idea. Yeah, nope. That sounds like a great idea. Here are some resources online where you can learn everything you need to make it happen. This one. My answer a few times has been, that sounds like a great project to learn programming on, I'll send you some PDFs. I refuse to work with friends and family, so I just tell them that I do not want to transform the relationship into a professional one. Germans have a saying, friendship stops where the money starts. Not a developer, but I am a product manager who works with a development team in which I act like a scrum master, business analyst in addition to product management, small company, so lots of hats. I usually don't politely refuse. I just start asking the questions that they'll need to know the answers to before anything gets built. These questions might differ based on whatever the app is supposed to do, but usually when you start asking about specifics, people realize they don't have even 5% of the information they'd need to actually do what they think should be easy. If they're a developer, then I usually ask more business-related questions. If they're a big idea person, then I usually ask more technical questions. Regardless, it usually works one of 2 ways: A, this person actually has a good idea and we can workshop it together and maybe something comes of it and maybe not, or B, they realize that taking their idea and making something out of it isn't going to be a weekend job and they change the subject rather quickly. Who is the target user? How many of them exist? What are each of them willing or expected to pay? TAM, TSM projections, you can usually roll up a few numbers to get them to a back of the napkin P and AMP, L, which is often eye-opening. What does the basic architecture look like? What web services and tools would be needed to build the thing? What type of development environment would be required? High-level requirements, what does the data model look like and can you give me the step-by-step logic that implements it? What's the throughput on this logic look like? What does a minimally viable product or prototype look like and how far away from the complete product is the MVP? What are the barriers for others to enter the space once you've got this built? How do you acquire the first 10 users? First 100? What are your competitors like today? What are they likely to look like by the time you get your thing built? And AMP, #X200B, I find that if I try to tell someone why their idea wouldn't work, then they argue with me. However, if I assume the idea will work and start collecting the information about how it will work, then people will quickly bail on any idea they haven't really worked on. If they have really worked on it and can answer the basic questions, then I usually ask if we could set up some scheduled time to talk about it and enjoy the rest of the dinner, party, game, whatever we're currently doing. Someone will never want to be shut down by someone else. You have to make them want to give up on their own. Did someone ever pitch a good idea to you in those settings? Like in a dinner with friends and a guy starts talking and you go, oh here it comes, and then they are actually able to answer those questions and the idea is actually decent enough. Just curious. Tell them you charge $52 an hour and they have to buy the tubs of red vines. That's actually cheap. So, I created a rather popular product for connecting lights together on a movie set several years ago. At one point, I had this random guy Jeff call me out of the blue, saying they got my number from someone on set. He wanted to make a lighting control app with all kinds of new innovative features and a cool layout, and had never made an app before, didn't know anything about, well, anything. He asked me what he should do. He's never made an app before, doesn't code, etc. I leveled with him that he was going to have to learn Swift, OBJC, HTML5, etc., have a good understanding of ArtNet and SACN protocols, do tons of market research, develop every aspect of a navigational style and layout, seek out and download tons of various libraries, get a graphic designer, etc. Oh, and about 100,000 capital for expenses, just a sampling of the thousands of things he would have to do to even remotely entertain creating an app. I was trying to be accurate, but also convey a sense of magnitude for the project he was attempting to start. He simply said, "Okay, cool. Thanks," in an enthusiastic tone and hung up. I figured that was the end of it and that he would go off and do something more practical. Something like 5 months later, I get a call, "Hey, it's Jeff. So I did all the stuff you told me, it's going along well and I have a beta, just need a GFX designer now. Want to try it out?" The crazy MF went off and actually did it. The product is out now, by the way. It's called Blackout, it does what it set out to do, and lighting programmers gladly pay a small fortune to have that functionality on an iPad. Sometimes it works out. Edit. He's not a Redditor that I know of, but he approved of my telling of this when I shared it with him. Edit. Since a few people have asked, you can get it here. https://apps.apple.com/us/app/blackout-lighting-console/id14145629559 main page is here. www.blackout-app.com. This is actually the difference between an actual app and just an idea, enough drive to actually make it happen. Ask for a wage per hour of coding time. If they are willing to make the investment, then maybe they actually have $1 million app idea. And if they don't, you still get paid. I've worked with a few clients who think they have the next big idea, and they've somehow got the funds together to pay me. The whole time I do the work, I won't feel good about it, but I have to make a living. I'll actively try to inject ideas that might make it a success, but usually those clients can't see beyond their vision. However, I won't accept the work if they want to pay via credit card. I would code gibberish for money. I don't really care at this moment. Long past is my dream where I dream to code something useful for humanity. You pay me, I code anything you want. I tell them that I know consultants that are available and will help build it, but it will take money. Barring that, I explain that ideas are a dime a dozen, it's execution that matters, and as the one doing the executing, a 51% stake in the company will be required. This gets them off my back every time. You just have to tell them the price for a web app plus application for both Android and iOS. The answer is usually, is it really that much? I'm CGI artist but same battle. I don't have enough time to do it for free. Everybody with a skill is on the same boat. The app was the Uber for public parking spots in NYC, not parking garages, spots on the street. I asked for $150,000 up front. Oh come on, how long does it take? 1 week of work. It's just code. I love playing the It's Like X, but for Y game. It's like Tinder, but for lawn mowing. It's like Instagram, but for medical appointments. Ask them to draw their idea in the form of an app on paper, screen by screen as to what they actually want to see in their app. If they actually are dedicated to the idea, they'll do it, but most people won't. So you ask, if they did do it. Hadn't happened yet, it's that effective. Try and talk about technical details with them. 99.99% of the time their eyes will gloss over and they won't bring it up again. The way I managed it last time was, sure, I'll do it, I currently make pound salary, but I'd not take less than pound salary 1.5 to jump to somewhere uncertain. I reckon there'll be a minimum of 2 years work before we can launch, so you need to get talking to investors and raise pound salary 3 to get me on board. Haven't heard from him since. So let me get this straight. You've got a Wile E. Coyote idea and you want me to engineer it while you sit home and drink, and then take at least 50% of any profit. Got the t-shirt. Yeah, I was working on a simple physics-based game project for some friends once and it was chugging along well until I got stuck on how the physics should work for one of the game mechanics, and when I asked them for help, I got complete silence. Interesting. That. You. So what's your contribution to the project? Them. I'm going to be on the business side of things, whatever that means. You. What's going to stop me from making the app without you and doing the business stuff myself? Them. Well, I came up with the idea. You. Do you have a utility patent on the idea? Them. No. You. Then I came up with the idea. Remind your family not to develop an app for them, only for your son-in-law to go and fuck it all up. What was wrong with Love Finders? If I thought it would actually work, I would have written it already. Idea was something about automatic Bitcoin and other coins trading while having next to zero start capital. Install Bitcoin miner at library. I actually implemented a POC of this a while back, real data, but simulated trading. My key takeaway was that I couldn't even earn simulated money. Using real money and doing real trades was probably going to lose me money even faster.